3 days after the not guilty verdict of the George Zimmerman case, the people of Worcester held multiple rallies, joining widespread national actions to fight for justice for Trayvon Martin. People of many races and cultures spoke out for racial justice. Here are some of the words and images from the Tuesday, July 16, 2013 downtown Worcester March and Rally.
And that's not okay with me. What about other violence? And I had this conversation with a lot of my family. There's so much violence happening in the world, so why are you so upset about this? I don't condone any type of violence. But when case after case after case comes up, and you see young brothers being slain, being murdered, and all you hear about is it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. And especially as a man of color, your ears perk up more because you're so conscious of the idea that it could be you. Of the fact that it was just you walking down the street that night. That could have been your life. For no other reason but for the color of your skin. If it was my Italian brothers out here being persecuted, discriminated against, shot, murdered, I would be here. If it was for my sisters, black, white, Latino, Asian, fighting for their equal rights for dollars, I would be here. If it was my gay brother or my gay sisters, I would be here. Because regardless of what the injustice is, injustice for one person is injustice for all. But I ask myself, why do I feel like when it comes to being a black man and my injustices come up, I always feel like I have to justify it to America. Like I gotta ask them for permission to love me enough to validate my realities, to validate my injustices, to love me enough to see my truths. Not even to fight with me, just to see them. It's not just about one, it's about all of us. So I hope today, when you go home and you hear people and you hear them say, why? Well, why is this special? Why is this different? You question them about love. Love for me and love for all of us. Thank you.
The disease we need to worry about is not the disease you're passing down to your kids, but the disease that the founders of this country have passed down to their kids, and that's white supremacy. And that's why George Zimmerman got off, and that's why George Zimmerman, although he might be half Latino, saw Trayvon Martin through the eyes of a white man. He acted through the lens of white supremacy, and that's why Trayvon is dead. So I want to give a shout out to Trayvon's family and the families of all those that have been affected, and I'm sorry if I get emotional moving forward, but brother, it's not you, it's from the inception of this country, and it's not about you being a black man, it's about white supremacy and how institutions were created. But I'll stay on my thing, and I'll probably go all over the place, so excuse me. So I want to start off and say I'm an aunt to 4 black nephews, 5 black nieces, 1 black godson, and 1 black goddaughter that I worry about everything. And they range in ages, and they've been harassed. Their fate can be the same as Trayvon's. Your fate could be the same as Trayvon's. And so my point in being here is not a political point either. It's we need to figure out how to stop what's going on. And clearly this verdict send a message that it's okay to kill black and brown boys and girls, because there's a lot of women on the list that you added that have been murdered all over the country, that continue to be beat down by police. There's several instances. And Marissa Alexander, who shot a warning shot in Florida to keep her abusive husband away from her and her children, was sentenced for 20 years in the same state where George Zimmerman was let go. So I just want to put that out there. So Trayvon isn't the first example of egregious injustices. He's just one of a long list. We have a lot of work to do. I want to go back to, because I think that it's important for us to educate our young folks, because they're getting the message that Obama's the president, and so this is the post-racial era. And by design, this country was stolen from Native Americans, was built on slavery, and the Constitution that we live by today, and the court systems, and all the institutions that we live by, interact with today, were developed by those very same slave masters that wanted it to gain money and capital off of slavery and racism and a whole bunch of other things. Those same laws that we still have today, they might have been revised, allowed slave owners to rape women and have their children be products so that the slave master could own them. Those same laws allowed people to be sold, okay? I just want to put that in context, because I get really upset when people say this isn't a race issue. It's like the criminal justice system that let Trayvon go and the mentality that George Zimmerman had, they stem from the inception and the development of this country.
My own dream is that the leadership in this country looks like this circle right here, as diverse as this. And my own life has been immeasurably enriched by the friendships that I've been able to make, because I remember sometimes to shut up and listen. And I don't always remember to shut up and listen, and people need to still remind me to shut up and listen. Civil rights activist Ella Baker saying, until the killing of black men, black mother's sons becomes as important to the rest of the country as the killing of a white mother's son, we who believe in freedom cannot rest until this happens. So in this country, we supposedly believe in freedom. We believe in freedom. We believe in this country. We can't rest. And one of the things is to make sure that anything like a stand your ground law never sees the light of day in Massachusetts. The stand your ground law is the thing that allows people, because they feel threatened with the ingrained white supremacy that makes them suspicious of people of color, that just having that feeling is enough to justify killing someone. That is really, really outrageous. And we need to make sure that laws that make that possible in other states, besides Florida, there's about 20 states where these laws have passed. And one was introduced last year in Massachusetts, and I think some of the legislators who signed on to it probably wised up when they saw what happened. We need to make sure that never sees the light of day in Massachusetts. And we need to make sure that we get anything we can do to make it not see the light of day in other places, that those are struck down as well.
Thank you, Martin. Now, black men, men of color, poor people have been shot down by the cops for the longest time. I just got a post the other day that Tom Dalton's father was shot and killed by the police. His first cousin, Craig Johnson, was shot and killed by the police. And Christine Hernandez, what wasn't that long ago, he was suffocated by the police. Now, this is all bad. This is all wrong. This isn't in Florida. This is right here in so-called liberal Massachusetts. Now, we fought against that. We want to continue to fight against that. But I'm saying that it's more to racism than just some bad people with bad ideas. Where did these bad ideas come from? They come from poverty. For example, they're closing the unemployment office. You cannot go to the unemployment office if you have a problem. They won't help you. Now, who uses the unemployment office? Not rich people, poor people, and especially minority poor people. Everybody who has an English as second language, who for some reason or another has difficulty reading, we go down there and we ask for help, and they don't provide any help to us. That's racism, and that keeps us in poverty. And because we're in poverty, the bosses think they can push us around and shoot us and say what we have no value whatsoever. Well, that's absolutely crap. We're not going to stand for that. We're going to stand up and fight against that. Yeah.
Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you. alone. I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Call me brother, and you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on.
No justice, no peace.
No justice,
no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
no justice, no justice, no justice, no justice, no justice, no justice, no peace, no justice, no peace, no justice, no peace, no justice,
No peace. No peace.
no justice,
Justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
Justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Justice, no peace.
Justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
Where do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
Where do we want it?
Now.
So we're gonna change shit so this doesn't happen again. Thank you.
But again, this is not the end, this is the beginning of something in Worcester.
How do we stay connected? We actually have a Facebook page started called Peace Circles with Trayvon Martin. We need everybody to go on and like it so you can see what our next steps are.
I
Okay?
think we need to do a couple of things. We need to call on our white allies to work with other white people and educate them around white supremacy. When you talk about issues of race, people think it's a people of color issue, when in reality, it's a result of white people not identifying as a racial being and not seeing their role in it. So I call on the white allies here. When you say, what can I do? It's not just come to rallies here, it's work with other white people around how internalized white supremacy, and you all have it the same way we have internalized racism. We have it just because we were born or came to this country, interact with the media and interact with institutions. There's a lot of petitions out there, in particular Marissa Alexander. Now that George Zimmerman got off, there is no reason why this African-American woman who was protecting herself and her kids should be in jail. So if anyone could take any actions around that. There's also various petitions around having a civil rights case around George Zimmerman. And also I think locally and nationally, we can come together and think about, one, how can we do this education piece, because our younger generation is growing up without the historical piece. And then secondly, how can we come together and figure out, not just when these situations occur, and I feel like I talk about this every time these situations occur, but how do we come together and figure out how we're constantly educating our young people about these various institutions that we interact with.
So I'm saying that our government, our laws, is what we need to fight away, and we need to put what we want into play. Because I'm tired of walking around feeling uncomfortable now. I want to be free. I want my children, when I have children, I want them to be free. I don't want to, I don't want to feel oppressed. I don't want to be scared. I'm tired of this. The verdict on Saturday shows that that was just a piece of it. And now we have to do the rest of it. We have to do enough so that what our children have to do should be nothing or just a little bit more.
Thank you.